Hey guys, Kid here of Burn One, here with a new video. This time we're going to be talking about the Card Academy Sakura Festival. They had just recently, I just made it back from there. It happened just yesterday. I ended up making top 8 and actually getting third place with Bang Dream. This is the Card Academy's yearly big Weiss event. They had 38 players this year. There's a $15 entry, and then top 16 got payouts for store credit, and top 8 ended up getting this mat here. And then a little trivia for you guys. Last year, I made top 8 also and got second place last year. And they used the top 8 players set representation as the pictures for all these hexagons. And then I was playing Cinderella Girls that year, and if you guys have been following that long, there was a deck profile for quite a while ago. So like I said, there was 38 players. I ended up getting third. They did a cut to top 16. Personally, I did not like the fact that they did a cut to top 16, but they did. Luckily, I was able to pull it through once I made the cut from top 16. During Swiss, I went 5-1. It was a 6-round tournament, and then ended up third place. So I'm going to go through my deck profile really quick. This is an updated Bang Dream list I've been running. I wish I could take credit for this entire list myself, but unfortunately, I did find this list on Twitter. I wish I saved the guy's handle, but I saw this list and thought it was really interesting. I saw a lot of really cool interactions in the deck. So I took his list, played around with it just this past week or so. And then there was only one change I made to it, and it wasn't really that big of a change. I ended up adding one PR, but you'll see in a second. So let me get into it. So the deck still runs the same combo, the Yukina level 3 game and the Kasumi level 1 game, because I just think it's too busted as long as that level 0 PR still exists. So we still run 4 level 0 TD bombs from the Rosalia trial deck. This is a really good turn 1 play. It just has bottom deck bomb, but it has the pay one if it's the only card, or if there's no other rested cards in the front row, you can pay 1 to rest this. It's just a really strong pay 1/+1 at level 0. And then also it's the color fix for blue. Our other strong turn 1 play here, we do Splash Shell in this deck for the level 3 Kokoro. So we do run 2 of the Kokoro. It gains 1500 if there's 2 or less stock, so it's a 4K beater. We use this instead of running multiple yellow bombs, we run 6 bombs at 0. So we need something that can actually kill anything that's 3/5 and then gains a level. So this is a pretty good choice, since it does become 4K and beats most overstated beaters, or at least ties with them if they get a level. Next, we play 2 of the stock bomb. It has the secondary effect of when your opponent plays a climax, you can choose to send this to stock. This is pretty relevant going into level 1. You can deny some of the lanes for your opponent if they have a on reverse combo for level 1. And then it's squeezing some extra stock in there occasionally. Sometimes you can end up putting this in the back row and just gaining a stock from it if need be, but that's not a play you're really looking for. It's just something to think about. And then of course it's more yellow for our yellow fix, since we do have the yellow level 3. Next, the reason we're playing the Kasumi level 1 combo is this busted card. On play, give a character 1K, secondary effect, as long as you have one of the Poppin' Party members name in another card. You can, on play, ditch 2 cards from your hand, search out specifically the level 1 event and the 1/0 Kasumi, the 2 cards for the combo, for your climax combo, and add it to your hand. This card's really busted. It just feels so good every time you play it. Even after refresh, you pull out those 2 pieces, and then like Brainstorm, you have a higher chance of hitting Brainstorms, a higher chance to cancel, and things like that. Card's just busted in my opinion. Next, we run 4 salvage Brainstorms to pay 1 tap self, and then during start of climax phase, your climax phase that is, you can give one of your characters 500. This gives the little extra push when need be to kill things, but then it's also a self tap Brainstorm, which is really good. Double tap Brainstorms lately I've been feeling have been a very unfortunate demerit a card has. It's really wonky sometimes, and then what's really good about this self tap is that if you need be, you miss your combo at 1 for some reason or anything like that, you can have 2 brainstorms in the back row and brainstorm twice a turn for a couple turns to try to make up for that hand you keep losing. Next, we get into the kind of spicy tech stuff here. So we're playing a one of this Himari, I believe that's her name. She's when you play a climax card, you can bounce this back to your hand and give a character 2k power. We use that power to get over some things in some lanes. It does make one of our Kasumis up to 10k, which can battle other like level 2s even, and sometimes face early play level 3s that just only get up to 10k with no support. The secondary effect, which is really strong, which is if this is the top card of your clock, it has alarm. If you have 4 or more other music characters, you can, at the start of your climax phase, ditch a card to salvage a music character. We use that effect to set up our hand and everything, getting specific counters, because we do run a lot of level 2 one-of tech cards. We use that to be able to get that stuff to our hand, so we have it next turn. And like our specific tech cards, this does help us get it to our hand, on top of the fact that we do have the 1-0 event to help us get specific cards to our hand. This card is really good. It's really good, but at the same time, you only want to run it one of, because it is in green and doesn't do anything else for your deck really. But there's a really cool play with it, which I'll show you in a little bit. Next, we play a one of this. It's on play, pitch a card, bond to the 2/2. The specific 2/2 is this card, which is for every other music character gains 1k. It's a 6/5 base, so it becomes 10/5 with a full field, and then it has hand encore. The secondary effect it has is if you're level 2 or higher, it gains the effect. It's a startup effect. You can sack this card to play the 2/2 directly to from your hand to the field. Once again, this is a really good card. It does help us hand fix, especially going into level 2, and then it also has a really cool combo with our level 1 that we're playing in this deck, and I'll show you that too as well. This card is really good. This whole interaction here is actually really good, because one of the biggest struggles I had with Bang Dream, at least going with a Yukina focused deck, is that the transition from level 1 to level 3, the whole level 2 game feels really awkward, especially when you don't get multiple climax combos off from the 1-0 Kasumi, since you're able to recycle it very often. This whole setup here actually makes the transition feel a lot better, and it lets you be a little bit more aggressive with your soul damage. Next, I added this to the deck list because whenever I play Blue Gates, when I salvage climaxes, I always like having an option of being able to play a card, ditch a climax, to salvage any card I want. It's on play, ditch a climax from your hand, salvage a music character, and add it to your hand. The original list was playing, I believe, the pay 1, ditch 1, salvage 1, and then give something 1k. That's a really good option too instead of this card. It's just personal preference. This also helps you save on stock, so if you ever get to that dream of triple Yukina and you need 12 stock at the starting of that turn to be able to do that, this helps you conserve stock. Alright, so we get into our level 1 games. As you guessed it, level 1 Kasumi, 4 of, cards super good, interactive for your opponent. Whenever another character, music character comes into play up to twice a turn, it gains 1k. So usually these cards here, with the climax combo, they're 7/5 to 8k most likely, and so it beats everything. And even if your opponent counters, it just salvages your 1-0 event with the climax combo, which combos with gate. The 1-0 event is basically Operation Tornado. You mill the top 3 cards of your deck. For every music character there is, you salvage a character equal to the number of music characters milled this way, or a level equal to the number of music characters this way. So like if you mill 3 music characters, you can salvage a level 3 or lower music character. Just really solid card. It lets you manipulate your deck a lot. With this deck, you do end up refreshing a lot more than normal, depending how the game states go and everything, and how many times you have to use the event. Some games you just kind of play out normally. Other games you'll mill your deck like almost every other turn just to refresh. It's probably, I think in Japanese, this is the best combo you can play, just because the level 0 Kasumi PR card exists. It makes this combo way too consistent and like way too good. Next, this is our last level 1 that I'm playing, and this the whole reason this deck works super well, or at least the reason we have these 2 cards here. So This tech card here is pretty amazing. It's basically a pay 1+1. So when you play this card from your hand, you can pay 1 to pick a cost 0 or lower character and put it to the field. And then at the end of your turn, if that card is still there, it goes to memory. So it's one of our stock outs, but as well as a way to plus, especially if you miss your climax combo. A lot of times you're actually kind of going for the setup of this when possible. So you'll like play this, and then use the effect to summon. Usually we're summoning this out with this effect because when we do play a climax, so we play the gate climax for this combo, we bounce this to hand, so we +1 from this effect, as well as giving it 2k, so it's now a 7k beater, or you can even give the 2k over here and make it up to 10k to fight certain things. And then the turn after this bounces to your hand, you usually want to clock it to use the secondary alarm effect to be able to hand fix the following turn. It's just a really, really solid play, and it just helps you manage your hand size a lot easier compared to before. And yeah, I love this interaction. The second reason this card is so good in this deck and running one-ofs like this, you can do things like play this from hand, pitch to salvage this, sack it, play the 2/2 for free, then play this from hand to pay 1 to summon this from waiting room, sack it again to play another 2/2 from your hand. There was one game I did play against Tyler. He was playing AOT. The second I hit level 2, I saw the opportunity to do this. It doesn't come up that often just because of how you have to sculpt your hand for this to happen. But I was able to get my field like this all at the cost of 1 stock. It's a pretty silly interaction. And then occasionally too, if you can't get the 1/0 Kasumi to your hand, you can summon the Kasumi out, play the climax plus from the combo, and if this lives, then it just goes in memory. It's like kind of like free compression, but you kind of want to avoid that because the Kasumi is very good. And then, you know, whenever you just need 1 extra card to get an extra attack in, it's pretty good for 1 cost. Going on to level 2, we run 2 of the 2/2 10/5s. They're just too good. It makes the transition during your whole level 2 game into level 3 very smooth, and it gives you more options. Usually most decks can't really handle this at level 2. A lot of decks lately have been playing early plays, so there's been a lot of outs to early plays. So playing a 2/2 with that's 10/5 and hand on core, it's so annoying for your opponent to really handle. Worst case scenario is you pitch a level 0 to bring this back if they do kill it somehow. And then the fact that it has 2 souls is really good for the deck. Oh, and one more thing to state too. If you use this effect to bring out this, because a lot of times you might not have blue in your clock, if you use this effect, it comes out for free. You don't need the color requirement or anything, because the way the card is stated is just sack this and put this into play from your hand. So if you do get locked out of blue, it's a way to play that without having blue in your clock. And then also, some cases it's actually just really solid to just play this from hand. It is a stock out too as well when you're going into level 2. We play a 1-of this change. It doesn't come up that often, but it's still pretty solid because we do run the change target for it. Some games this is really good. There's a lot of decks nowadays running around with like 2/1 reverse level 3s effects and stuff like that. So this is generates 1 stock when you play it by discarding a card from your hand. You heal from your clock to stock, and then it has on your opponent's attack phase you can pay 1, pick 2 characters and swap them around. This is one way to like plus or force really awkward board states against your opponent when you do know they don't really play any counters or anything like that to deal with early out level 3s. Worst case scenario too is like they kill it and you can play this again and just bring it back, since this does bounce back to your hand. We run 1 free fresh counter. It's a free fresh counter. It's good. Like there's no reason you're not running this in your deck. It's stock out. It's when you get really screwed into like triple trigger gate, you can salvage one of these and just use it that turn, and in my opinion in those cases you kind of plus. We run this as a 1-of. The reason I play this, it's a really mediocre card because you're paying 1 stock, discarding this and 2 other cards from your hand. to kill a higher level character that your opponent has out, so it kills early play level 3s. The reason we're playing this is because there are just certain matchups where your opponent likes to flood the field with early plays, like ReZero is one, Hina Luck and Logic is one. It's a really big reason I play it in the deck, or even Vivid Strike, even though Vivid Strike does have an out to this effect. We play it for that reason. It's just really solid when it happens. Sometimes you just gotta eat the fact that you're minusing 3 to deny your opponent an attack and stock that turn. It feels bad sometimes, but when you do use it, it feels really, really good. You could end up switching this out for like the memory counter or something like that, or like the 3/5 counter, or even the top check Leafa counter that is in Bang Dream. Right now I'm going to keep this in for a little while. I want more testing with it, but I think even though the effect is kind of whatever, it's still a solid card. And in some cases too, if you got really screwed for whatever reason and have a bunch of climaxes in your hand, you can still ditch 2 climaxes with it, since the ditch requirement is not a character. It's just 2 cards in your hand, so you can do this and ditch 2 climaxes, which I have done before, and it kind of sucks, but you feel good because you at least refresh with 8 instead of refreshing with like 6. And yeah, we run a one of this level support. You have to run it if you're playing Yukina, because the secondary effect is just too good in matchups where your opponent has outs to Yukina. So it's a not global, it's a level support for cards in front of this. Secondary effect is if you have an event in waiting room, you can use the effect by tapping itself and another character. Give a character 500 power on the effect that your opponent can't use events or backups during battle with that card. It's the only way you're gonna basically shut off your opponent from denying you your Yukina in one lane at least. This card here, I picked this basically because the first effect is on attack. Give another character 1500 power times the number of events in waiting room. You usually have 2 to 3 in waiting room when you play this card. So you're buffing something 3k to 4500 power. So your level 1s can contest early play level 3s. Giving power to this makes it like uncounterable against other early out level 3s. It's just really solid. And in game, sometimes you need that extra power to make sure your Yukina doesn't get screwed over, because they might have a counter that's like really big and you didn't get your 2/1 support out. It just makes sure you're over in whatever lane you want it to be over. I mean, even sometimes like level 0s can kill like level 1s and 2s because of this card's effect. Secondary effect is if the battle opponent of this is higher level than your opponent, you can reverse them. This is really good in every matchup basically, because there's just right now in Japanese meta, I feel like there's a lot of really solid decks that have early out level 3s, so this kills them. The reason I play this over the blue one is because blue's kind of tight in this list, though I think the effect for reversing your battle opponent's better for the blue one, because it is another out you have against Vivid Strike. But besides Vivid Strike, this is pretty good against every other deck. Our level 3 game here. So we have the Yellow Splash specifically for the level 3 Kokoro. She's basically Musashi. We don't use the Climax combo. It's a really solid other choice, because most games we're looking at a in-game field like this, because usually you don't have the stock to go off and get like 3 Yukina. Personally, in my opinion, the dream play is 2 Yukina. If you get 2 Yukina off, I feel like your opponent should just lose every game that happens. But yeah, generally your field is this. This is a really aggressive way to end your opponent. There's a lot of games where I was hit to level 3 first at Sakura Fest, and my opponent was like at 2-5, and because of this field setup, I won, because they weren't able to counter here or do anything about the fact that I could reverse their character. And then so they take like, it's 3 and then 2-2. That's like a whole level worth of damage right there. And then this gets in 3 and 3, and then if they cancel, you just mill and burn for whatever the effect is. So it's a really solid way to close out the game. And then we only run 3 Yukina. This might be a mistake, I'm not sure yet, but in my opinion, generally every match you're playing, you're not going to get more than 1 off. Against good players, they should be able to set up their board in a state that at most you're going to get 1 off. Usually they try to force it so you can't get any off. So that's why we do play the Musashi Kokoro. because it's just a solid secondary choice to close games out, especially when your opponent decides to either clear their entire board or play around it with like a runner or something where the Yukina can't get the reverse in. And then finally, we have 4 blue gates for the combo and 4 red gates for the level 1 combo. I think that's about it for the deck. Pretty straightforward except for the tech stuff going on. I'd be interested to hear from anyone else about their ideas of Bang Dream and using Yukina and Kasumi together. Besides that though, any questions about the list or any questions about Bang Dream in general, feel free to comment below. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Later. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoy our channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, as it does help our channel grow. Or you can reach out to us at any of the following social media links below. See you guys in the next video.